Hey. So, the last video in the Quantifying Abuse series, and I can't tell you how nice it is to get to the end of this. It truly took a chunk of my life to do it. And there's not a lot of people sitting here at the end of the story to pat me on the back. Society's really broken right now. But I'm gonna pat myself on the back. Good job. I almost didn't make it alive. You know, when I started this process, I didn't even know why. I got out of that relationship with this unstoppable drive, and like, you could not stop me. When I started, I didn't know why. I know why now. We have to move faster. Okay, so the last of the vehicle concepts is coercive control and triangulation. And as I mentioned before, I suggested a new definition for coercive control. And this is purposely putting somebody into a position to make a decision that they would not otherwise make. And in my previous video, I have related this to dress because it's basically the same thing without a signature. Triangulation is a kind of coercive control. They're putting somebody else in the mix to make you do something and or to control you. Analytical notes here are pretty consistent with the other vehicles. As you can see, the spikes are directly correlated with the timeline below. There will be subtle nuances that show up and the differences in between the three categories, but we're not going to get a better sense of what those look like until we get more data. And that's the next step, is the data hub. This about reviewing the data before I move on. I found it very worthwhile to go through and sort of start to recognize some of the idiosyncrasies of manipulation that I didn't recognize while I was in the pit. And I'll give you an example. Most abusers will twist things so that it's your benefit, right? Oh, I just moved your car because I thought you wouldn't want it there. Right? Making choices on your behalf. The nuances in language like that, I wouldn't have gotten as I was living it, but when I reviewed it in data, it became very useful. If you are in an abusive situation, put everything on paper and then read it. Okay, so next up is I have to put together an investor package which will include the plan of what executive dysfunction is going to look like in the long run. As I said, for my safety and for a whole bunch of other things, I had to put out the report first. You'll understand a lot more about why later. But that isn't even close to all of it. We're going to a lot of places, and I'm going to need some help. And this means I'm going to have to actually go out and talk to people, which is like, I'm good at a lot of things. People are just, that's my Achilles heel. I need to get better at the people part. And I know why thus far. And it's because controlling people really don't like me. It took me a long time to figure this one out. I make controlling people nervous on sight. Controlling people really don't like me, and I know why. It's because I'm their antithesis. Controlling people immediately meet me and they're like, ah, you want to know why? Because I'm uncontrollable. Controlling people like to do exactly that. They like to control you. They do this by tracking. They track habits, their brains calculating all the time. Funny thing, I have a shitty time keeping habits. Actually, it's really hard for me. And it took a while for me to connect those two, but I thought, how convenient that I'm not able to keep a habit, and thus all my stalkers have a really hard time keeping track of me. Also, on the values and morality spectrum, I don't need a fucking book. Nobody needs to tell me what's right from wrong. I already know. Now, the next stage is I get to explain to you how I know that we got a whole wave of morally chaotic people. Almost exactly the polar of who's in power right now. God made its own army.